So hey there, it is time for Royal Honors Academy, and I'm here with Miss Shamica Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what you do, because you do multiple things.
Oh, wow, where do I start? Okay, I'm a certified tax preparer with JL Tax Preparation. Owner and staffing coordinator at Halo Home Care. I run another home care agency, Families Beyond Home Care. I'm the back office, QI reports, everything. It's based out of Charlotte. That's a little bit of what's going on.
In your world.
Yes.
I love it. You're providing quality services that we need. So just shout out for Halo Services. Yes, because in-home healthcare is essential.
Very important.
And as we learned from Monica, everybody is a caregiver. So what you're doing is amazing. And thank you for that, because at some point, you know, we have to care for our loved ones, and we're not equipped with the skills and the knowledge, and that's where someone of your expertise come in that really sits with our loved ones and care about them, and that's important.
Very important.
Thank you.
Very, very.
Thank
I
you,
love
thank
it.
you.
I wouldn't be doing anything different other than taxes.
So, see, that would be a great segue, because that's what we're here about. We're going to talk about income taxes, you guys. So tell us a little bit about JL Tax Preparation. I love, and I'm going to lead you a little bit, because I love the fact that you're virtual.
Of course, definitely. Well, the incoming pandemic is what actually turned me virtual. We had an office right outside of the UPS building in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That is where I officially registered my tax company. That's where I was residing at the time. However, with the pandemic, I became virtual. No one wanted to sit in front of me, and because, of course, if I coughed or they coughed, we were running. Again, over time, I started out, preparing taxes after I became certified for relatives, acquaintances, friends, and it continued to just grow. And I'm like, okay, I'm on to something. So year after year after year, the clientele built up. I didn't have to pay for advertising because my clients always left reviews and word of mouth. So every year, this will be the 8th year that's upcoming.
Pat on the back, pat yourself on the back.
I'm so humble, but that was a real cough. But no, this is the 8th year that's upcoming, and I started out with like 11 tax clients, and I'm up to 119 tax clients. And I tell myself every year, I'm not taking any more tax clients.
Oh, she lying, because I'm 120.
I say that I'm not taking more tax clients, but of course, I love it. I love the numbers. I love seeing what they do, and I love educating. Number one, I love educating my clients and potential clients that just contact me for a consultation, because the information that is not out there, although it's out there, but if you do not know how to research and understand all of the taxation laws, I mean, you would be lost. And many of my clients, before they came to me, they were lost.
Right. I'm loving the talk about numbers and the holistic approach and the strategy. It's all about creating a plan and a strategy, and having professionals like yourself in the plan on the front end, because you provide such a vital advice and service to let people know how their money is going to best grow or be, how to, nobody wants to say figure out the tax loopholes or anything like that, but just understand how to use tax laws to your benefit.
We can't fear talking about it, because that is what's going to make that tax client continue to come back year after year. I've never had an audit. Every client that has come to me, everyone, even the clients that do not know how to properly fill out their W-4 with their HR department, I will sit with them. Whether it's virtual, me sending them a picture, this is how your W-4 should be filled out. And I find myself explaining this to them because, well, I do not want to veer to W-2, and I know we're speaking today about entrepreneurs. However, some of my tax clients that are W-2, their W-4s are not filled out correctly, so the proper amount of taxes are not taken out. Their 10% should be in box 2. However, sometimes in box 1, it will have their wages, from the year, and then box 2 is empty. Okay, so if box 2 is empty, that 10% that should have been, taken out, the taxes to go to the federal government, that credit, those taxes have to be pulled from somewhere. So if you have any refundable credits, and example, child tax credits, earned income credits, what you owe to the government is going to come out of that tax refund. On the other side, of course, entrepreneurs, Schedule C, contract workers, that is a totally different ballgame.
Right, but I mean, what you hit on for me with the W-2 workers is still important for business owners that have employees to help them understand what they're doing, because there's always somebody in the office saying, girl, put zero, so they don't take nothing out your check, so you can get your whole check.
They have no idea.
But they have no idea, or that person's not they don't realize that that advice is not going to be beneficial come tax time.
It is not. You're either going to see your money all throughout the year, or you're going to allow that 10% tax to come out for federal, and then you receive a chunk of money the upcoming year. If you have, because you can, just say hypothetically speaking, you could have made $100,000 that year and allowed the 10% to come out. That doesn't mean you're going to receive much of a tax refund.
Right.
However, if you have refundable credits where you can offset your taxation, you may receive a tax refund.
Right.
However, we know that people are not told this, and the HR department is a starting point. They should let the potential employee or the incoming employee know that you should properly fill this out. However, if you need every dime throughout the year, just know that you will have a tax penalty with the upcoming tax season.
That's important to know.
Very important.
Okay.
Very.
It's coming around the mountain. Tax season is coming around the mountain. It is.
Yes,
it is. Okay, so let's hit with our business owners and let's talk about some of the foundational things that they'll need to prepare themselves for the tax season. And as most of us, the first thing would probably be the business bank account.
Oh, of course, yes. Business bank account. To prepare for the business owner to prepare themselves when they go to the bank, they need to have identification. Of course, how their company is set up. It doesn't matter if it's S Corp, C Corp, LLC. You have to have your articles of organization, your certificate of, how your company is formed. If there are additional owners in the company, you need to have an operating agreement. The bank will request this if you are not the sole proprietor, or if you're not the single member of the company. But those are identifying documents that would have to be taken. And of course, whatever you're going to deposit, the minimum deposit that is required, no matter what level of business banking account that you are opening.
Okay, so they get the bank account and now they're spending money.
Bookkeeping. There are so many of the business owners that I work with year after year. Same thing. I don't have receipts, but I can tell you this, and I'm like, we're sitting down reconstructing all of the income throughout the year. It is a mess.
And I can imagine that's expensive. They're paying you.
Oh, of course.
Yes. So even though we're saving ourselves time. You're paying for that time in the end when you have to pay a professional to help you figure it out.
Yeah, you have to pay for my time.
There you go.
It is a business.
Exactly.
And it can be an expensive lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can get a shoebox, you can get anything.
Yeah, just an envelope for once a month.
Of course, save your receipts, because trying to reconstruct that client could leave something out that could lessen their tax liability. You want to ensure that whatever monies are being spent to operate your business throughout the year, that you have an accountable record of what you spent, because you could end up paying more in taxes versus if you had all of those receipts. Because come on, 365 days, you're not going to remember all the money that has been spent. The lunch, you're able to write off 80% or 50% depending on which level of taxation that they choose. Whether it's business, travel, lunch, or if it's just business expense meals. So
okay.
It's a difference.
Now you said something. I was about to go somewhere with it, and darn it, I dropped it. I don't know where I was going with that. Dang it! It was something related to. Oh, I got it now. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, so in lieu of if they lose the receipts,
yes,
having a business bank account will be beneficial, because now you can see all of your business transactions on the statement. And that was a mistake that I made when I started, is not having that business bank account. And that's one thing now where it's like, even if I don't have the receipt, at least I know what I spent.
However,
Yeah.
you have those entrepreneurs that open the business account, yet they're still using their personal account
Yeah.
outside of their business account,
Both of
and
them.
monies are not being accounted for.
Gotcha.
I see that a lot.
I
every
did that
year,
last week.
Every year.
Yeah.
Yet, if they are going by the book and doing things the proper way and keeping the right bookkeeping, that is why I advise anyone, if you can, get a bookkeeper, have a bookkeeper. If not, get a basic software that will assist you. But if they're using the business bank account for every single, item being bought that's needed, expense, it's right there.
It's right there
It's
for
right
you.
there.
It
Go
makes life
download your
so
statements,
easy.
and we will go through and reconstruct everything in a manner of just taking everything and tabulating all the expenditures.
Okay, got it. So we talk about bookkeeping. Is there a
Yes.
certain software if they want to do it by themselves, a certain software that you...
The most basic software is QuickBooks and FreshBooks.
Okay.
Easy. I mean, it's very easy. That's what, I don't really like giving financial advice. However, in the matter of taxes and bookkeeping, FreshBooks and QuickBooks is a really good start.
Yeah, I like QuickBooks. I even saw that they had because they have the different type of accounts
Yes.
or profiles.
Yes.
They have one for solopreneurs
Yes.
like myself that sometimes have money going into the wrong account, and it allows you to kind of put both accounts and figure it out.
Yes, you can port them
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yes.
Good luck with my taxes, girl.
No, wait a minute. Come on. I'm just kidding.
And
I'm
we
just
need to
kidding. I'm
come
just
to
kidding.
Jesus
I'm
moment.
just kidding. But yeah, bookkeeping
we all
is very
struggle. Bookkeeping is,
Oh,
I
yes.
think that's something, and I joke, but I'm serious at
Yes.
the same time. And people that know me know that. I'm joking, but I'm telling, this is where I'm coming from. I'm telling my story as well.
Of course.
Sometimes we just get so overwhelmed with running the business that we put the administrative things on the back end.
Yes.
And that's okay. It happens.
That used to be me.
There you
Yes.
go, see? Yeah.
Yes,
And that's what I'm saying. People who are in the accounting or in the tax preparation industry, we still do it.
Yes,
You
it's
know,
just the
and
truth.
and that's
It's
just my way of saying, hey, if you are in this boat, don't feel bad because
Exactly.
we all.
It's just the truth.
It's just- yeah.
For me, it's, I used to be, years ago, I was all over the place. And that is what made me go into the tax business. I did
Oh.
not begin, preparing taxes because that's something I truly just was so passionate about. I was good at it. And everyone in the office were like, will you do me? Will you do me? Will you do me? And I said, okay, let me go to income tax school. So it was a 6-month course.
Okay.
And I was so good at it, and it's like, oh wow! And even though it's like 70,000 plus pages, it's other than them, amending taxes or coming in with new taxes. I start having fun with it. I love numbers. I love number crunching, like a little bit of the nerdy part of me, maybe. But I mean, everyone, they were like, really? And I'm not going to be audited. I'm like, I am not doing anything illegal where I have to walk
Right.
away in 30 seconds. They just didn't realize that anything work-related, but this was before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, where wage earners were able to write off. However, I'm going to stick to entrepreneurs. They had no idea that they could write XYZ off, and I would explain to them that's business related. Of course, you don't want to write. Okay, if your company made $500,000 a year, if you spend $500,000 a year, now you may not want your tax documents to show that you made $0.
Right, yeah.
However, you want it to show that these were the operating expenses for my business, whether it's the first year or the 10th year. It's just for clarity and to have a clear picture of really what's going on in your business.
Right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, is that sometimes, even though you can write it off, it may not be the best strategy. And
Yes.
that's why we talk about creating strategies for people.
Yes.
Because if you write it all off and you happen to be in a situation where you need a loan, a mortgage loan or
So
whatever,
very true.
yeah, they're going to look and say, well, you didn't make any money.
Exactly.
How-
Well, they're going to see that you made money.
Oh, you
however,
spent
it
it
all
all.
went like, okay, you made $500,000. However, you don't have any money. You're making,
Yeah.
so it's, you want to write off what makes sense.
Gotcha.
And I'll tell them, if you bring this to me, you have to let me know, are you writing all of your income off? Did you really? I mean, it just has to make sense for the client. And it's a very fine line with giving advice on finances because I'm not a financial advisor. I always say this to my clients. Yet, from my experience, and although it's been my 8th year, you would think I've been doing it 20 years because although I don't go behind another tax preparer and clean up behind them, I have so many men and women that comes to me and they're under audit. And I am, let me say this, I am an enrolled agent as of 2023. Yet they come to me with their tax issues and will say, well, I was audited or I can't contact my tax preparer. I need my tax return from last year. Well, by law, we're supposed to keep it at least 3 years. So no matter what, that tax preparer should be able to produce those tax records. I do not go behind another tax preparer and clean up behind them because that audit could come over to me and I've not ever had an audit.
Oh, wow.
So it's, you know.
That's amazing that you've never had an audit. But
Not
now
ever,
I
no.
have questions for that person that is in an audit.
Yes.
And they can't get a hold of their tax preparer. What is your advice? What would
Contact the IRS and request a tax advocate. Yes, they will assist them. Yes.
Wow, that's deep. So you guys, I mean, for me, like that's deep, and and for me because it hits home, and I say it's deep because the same way you started, as just preparing people's returns, there are other people out there that, hey, you know, I'm doing this, I can help you. I can get you X amount of money.
I've seen it all online.
Yeah.
It's so much fraud.
Yeah, exactly.
In taxation,
yeah.
tax preparing. However, when that rubber meets the road,
You're getting audited.
and it's just not worth it. And you know, speaking of auditing, I'm not sure, if it's okay to speak of the BOI, the beneficial ownership identification that is required.
Well, did you see that that Texas that they appealed it or they're stopping it, they're holding? So now it's like, what's going on?
Okay.
So yeah,
Although they are appealing it, as of now, as of today, anyone that has opened a company, you know, several years prior or even within the last year, by January 1st, 2025, you have to have that BOI. You go to FinCEN, FINCEN, to register your business. Now, if they just opened their company the last 60 days, no matter what, by law, they have 90 days. So if it passed January 1st and they've opened in the last 60 days, they still have 90 days from the date that they filed that EIN, that Articles of Organization, to have it filed. It's very serious.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this is very, very serious. And they're wanting to ensure that they know who is responsible for this company.
Yeah.
You know, they're wanting to crack down on money laundering, et cetera, et cetera. So many different moving parts to the BOI, yet it's very important.
So even though it's under appeal or whatever it's under, it hasn't postponed it. No. It just means that it might go away. We might change it. But we're challenging it.
Where did it come from? It's like, when this popped up last year, it's like, this just doesn't even make sense. We give all of our identifying information to create the business. Oh, when we apply for the EIN, it's the IRS.
Yeah,
and, we fill out everything. So, but it is still very important. Until they do away with it or amend it in some manner, we have to.
All righty then, we still have to do it. All right. Okay, so we've talked about them opening up the bank account. We've talked about them tracking their receipts.
Yes.
And now it's tax time. So as entrepreneurs, we don't just file once a year.
Of course.
Do we have quarterly?
It depends.
It depends. Okay.
If you are Schedule C, you file it once, one time, because you're going to be taxed at 15.3%.
Okay.
So if you are registered to where you're going to pay quarterly and you have your, electronic payments, everything set up to where they can debit, the money out, because usually they send that little slip to you in the mail or electronically for you to fill out. It's all contingent on how the company is set up. Okay. Yes. So with this upcoming season coming, either or, whether you are one that pays quarterly or if you are the Schedule C. The contract work is the same thing on 1099, the upcoming season. Okay. Anytime after the tax season open, which we have not been given a definitive date. We know generally it's the third week to the last week in January, but as of right now, we do not have a concrete date. Okay. Yet it is still time to start preparing yourself for it. Your documents, a whole list of everything. Of course, number one is always identification. If you've paid anyone over $600, you want to ensure that, you have all identifying information on your employees. If you are just a sole proprietor and you're filing on your company and you've made the money yourself, you still have to have documentation of everything, whether it's office rent, phone bills, mileage, meals, receipts for office supplies. Anything related to your business, you want to have it together before you sit down with your tax preparer.
Okay.
So that way he or she doesn't start your tax return and then have to pause for you to bring additional information.
Yeah,
so it's an
or you're like
return
an amendment later down the line and
Exactly.
all this other kind of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So if someone, I want to go back to the quarterly. If someone did want to pay their taxes quarterly,
Yes.
how would they
You
set
set
that
it
up?
up through the IRS.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
You set it up through the IRS,
Okay.
and they will send you. You will either get the booklet or you can do it electronically through your tax account with the IRS.
Okay, I've seen that little
And
book.
of course, they'll ask you if you want to connect your bank account or, And
No, thank you.
I do not have an opinion about that. However, they will give you that option. But yes, you can set it up through the IRS to pay quarterly.
I have an opinion, but I'll keep it to myself since
Likewise.
we ain't going there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So now it's time. So what are other important factors of being prepared for your income tax or filing your income tax that you see entrepreneurs kind of dropping the ball on?
Documentation.
Okay.
Okay. You have to keep all things and everything related to your business. I don't care if it's a box. Sit it in front of your tax preparer. Business taxes is a totally different fee from, regular, W-2 wage earner. So it's, keeping all of your documentation, all receipts. And when I say documentation, the receipts are included. Anything related to your business, you have to have it together.
Okay.
Keep it together.
Okay. So any other tips that you would give them for coming up for tax season?
Well, yes, myself, for entrepreneurs, just being completely mindful of everything. Do not spend as much as you're making. And I say that meaning, that does sound like tax advice. No, seriously.
That's life advice.
I know. I told myself that just a few years ago. But the number one thing I would tell anyone is to follow what's for you in your business, meaning be familiar with the grants that are available if you're interested in grants. And that is a big thing to say because a lot of people try to fund their businesses out of their own pocket. And it's not good. It doesn't end well because you do not know how your consumers are going, if you're in sales or any of that. Be mindful of your market. I tell everyone, documentation is key. That's key. Like, although I do not post as much on my tax accounts because I have gotten spoiled to where I have these clients. I know I'm going to get new clients and I'm doing so many different things. However, every single year I take a refresher course. Now, to get back to our clients, the main thing I tell them is keep all documentation. Pay attention to any mail that comes in IRS. Even log in and check your tax account by going to ID.me. If you do not have an ID.me account, which is directly connected to the Social Security Administration and the IRS account, where you can look at your tax transcripts for the last 4 to 5 years, you can see everything related to your taxes.
Okay.
No one can ever say they can't find a tax return or their tax documents because if you create ID.me, which they will verify you by you taking a selfie, holding your driver's license up, you can log in at any time. They'll send a 2-factor authenticator code to your phone. You can see your entire tax life, anything that you want. So that is something very important. ID.me. If you do not have this account, it is something very good for all people, not just entrepreneurs, but it's very important for entrepreneurs as well, because I get a lot of people that may have not filed taxes the last 3 or 4 years, and it's like, okay, well, create this account, go in and let me know what you see.
Gotcha.
Because I cannot go into their ID.me account. It is solely for that individual.
Okay, that's some good information. I didn't know about that one.
Yes,
so I have to go look. Okay. Well,
Yes, you can see your Social Security account also let you know, when you reach that age, what you're eligible for, what you will receive, what if something were to happen to you, what would happen, that money's your dependents if they're under 18, surviving spouse, et cetera, et
Right,
cetera.
all
It's
that good
very,
stuff.
very beneficial with information.
Okay. Well, you know what? I would love to have another conversation where we actually get into the tax forms and expense. I know expenses vary depending on the business and
Yes.
things like that. But I would love to have another conversation to get people, you know,
course.
even more prepared. So you guys, we appreciate you tuning
Yes.
in. And if you want to learn more about income tax preparation, expenses, all those things, please leave a comment and we'll be sure to answer your questions in another video. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I appreciate you coming
you.
and educating me more and everybody more on income tax.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll see you guys later.